Welcome to TWitWoW, the best podcast on the web today. I'm John, that's my coordinate commentary Ashton, and this is TWitWoW Weekly Recap. Let's get right into it. I want to put out a disclaimer. My internet seems to be a bit spotty right now. It seems okay, but don't be surprised if we have to, make fucking calls and be like, oh, you cut out or this, that, or the other. I hate technology with a passion. I am in the wrong age. Please send me the fuck back wherever I was supposed to be. With that said, though, let's get right into it. And I just want to set the scene straight away. What wrestling did you watch this week?
Raw, Impact, and SmackDown.
You did a lot more than I did. You know what, man? I want to do something a bit different, mainly because I feel like I dominate a lot of these segments, particularly politics, which is just like a one-man show practically. Why don't you talk about Raw and then Impact, and then we can have a shared discussion about SmackDown, because I'm actually excited about some of the discussions I think we can have about SmackDown. So what did you think of what you saw on Raw?
Well, the best thing that I can do there is just to pull up a recap because I don't remember things off the top of my head at all ever. Um, okay. God, I don't like the opening of Raw at all, so I'm not going to talk about it. And that includes the first match of the show. The Vision did win that. Um, that did, however, lead to the Masked Man showing up again. People are convinced that it's Grayson Waller. We'll see. I really hope it's just Seth coming back because I would hate to see Seth miss a WrestleMania. Bailey versus Asuka versus Natty for the Chamber. Asuka shows up, wins as she does. You'll love to see it. Good for Asuka. Liv Morgan did a sit down interview, and Stephanie showed up and talked shit to her in Spanish, and Dom kind of translated some of it, and it made Liv cry. And I thought this was a really fucking weird segment. I don't understand the purpose of having the heel that won the Royal Rumble sitting down here and crying. Like, what purpose does that serve? Why are you trying to make this heel character that people are supposed to hate look more vulnerable? I just don't get that at all.
Can we volley about this segment
Sure.
a little bit? Actually, I don't want to stop your flow, but I actually did watch this on YouTube. So for one thing, I just want to say, I don't know if I'm in the minority on this because I know online opinions have been mixed. I actually really like Stephanie's promo. I like when people can cut promos in just their native tongue. We've seen Asuka speak Japanese now, where I think Asuka has the edge over Vicaire, at least in my experience observing her, is Asuka is just a master of body language and facial expression. So even if you can't understand her, you understand her. I think on a more like fundamental level, like, oh, she's serious or she's trolling or, whatever. That said, I enjoyed the fire and the passion of Vicaire's promo. Now, I know the crux of the issue for you was more Liv's share of that promo, mainly like her crying and stuff like that. Now, I will admit I wouldn't have gone that way. I think if I was staging this, because I think ultimately long term, and this isn't to justify it, right? This is just my belief. We could be seeing Liv break away from the Judgment Day potentially, or at the very least, like at Mania, kind of doing a Hogan with NWO WrestleMania 18, being like, "Hey guys, stay in the back. I've got to prove to Stephanie and myself that I can do this on my own." And then she may lose, and then that causes a lot of friction. Like, why didn't you have us out there, kind of thing. But all the same, they may be setting the stage for that. I think crying though, and I love Liv. She seems like a sweetheart, and as a performer, I think she'll usually 9 times out of 10 knocks it out of the park. Crying was a bit much. I think if I was kind of stage directing this for Liv, I would have had her just kind of really seriously stare at Vicaire, and maybe Dom tries to comfort her and like get in the way, but like Liv puts like a hand out, being like, don't right now, like this is me and Stephanie kind of thing. And I would just have that stare, being like, Liv really registering what she's saying and being pissed off about it, because we know what Liv has done to get here. We know the training, we know the setbacks, everything. And again, Stephanie's whole promo was, I came from a country Now, she did apologize for this later, it's worth noting on social media. But in the original promo, she said, I came from a country, in Chile where wrestling didn't even exist. And she's talking about her sacrifices and stuff like that. And this isn't to invalidate Stephanie in any way, but to say that Liv hasn't sacrificed anything, like we as fans, like we know better than that, and Liv as a character knows better than that. I just would have sold that better, I think. But please continue. Because I just wanted to volley with you about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So no, I to be clear, I fully agree with you. I thought it was weird. I didn't understand the decision. I love Liv, but I don't want them to try to make me love her. She's supposed to be a heel. Unless they plan on turning her face, which I don't really understand why they would choose to do that against Stephanie Vaquero of all people. She's very beloved. Um, Maybe that's the plan, actually. Holy shit. Did I just realize? Oh my god. Are they going to do a Liv Morgan Stephanie Vaquero double turn at Mania?
I mean, bro, just to volley off of that again, dude, I've been seeing people now. Again, I think this is just wrestling fans, and wrestling fans be talking. I mean, we do the same thing. We have a whole show based on that, right? But I've seen people even say that they feel like Dominic is going to betray Liv and go with Stephanie. And I'm like, I do not see in what universe that is conceivable, but like, then again, it's WWE. And really, the worst booking and the most mystifying booking, there
they
is
can relate
no
to each other
0% to me.
Given that they both speak the same language.
And the whole thing is, Dom's got this kind of character, like, I know I jokingly say it a lot, but they do. They kind of treat him like, a Latino Heat in the sense of like, look at these ladies I'm pulling. I mean, literally, again, Liv was wearing a shirt. What was it last week? Hot women love Dominic Mysterio or something like that.
No, that
and
was
like,
the previous week. You're right.
That was this week. That was previous week. So yeah, it would be crazy though, because like, why? Like what? Because I don't even know if Stephanie really needs that, but you may be onto something though, man. I'm just saying you're not alone in that because other people are speculating Stephanie might go heel. So we'll see.
Yeah, that would be wild, honestly. Something I could see them doing though, because like I know that this is going to come off weird, but I think that you and I think similarly enough to understand that you'll understand where I'm coming from. Ever since I think at least Saudi, ever since Rumble, they've had Stephanie covering up more. They've had the cheeks on lockdown, and I think that they might even use that and have her stop doing the devil's kiss as often as well as a heel.
You have mentioned this to me in conversation, and at first when you broached it to me, because I think it was during like a Rocket League sesh, I was like, huh, I wonder if he's kind of like overthinking it or whatever. But then, like, in light of this now and Liv crying, which again, I do think was the wrong choice. I would have had her get more fired up and just like a silent stare kind of thing. But like in the context of all that, again, you might be onto something because we know Heel 101, you never give the fans what they want.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, that makes sense to me. Because I could even see in future matches where she like teases it. And then, like, I mean, she's not obviously going to flip the crowd off, but pretty much, like, tells them off or denies them it. And is like, no, that's only for, God forbid, if the Dom rumors are true, right? That's only for Daddy Dom or whatever the hell. Like, I can see it, bro. And that's insane, but yeah, we'll see. It should be a good match, because now I definitely think Liv is choosing Vaquero. There's no way she goes with Jade. Yeah, so.
Feels like Jade is Jade versus Liv just does not feel like it would make sense to me. And it also feels like they are actively building towards Liv Stephanie already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And we'll get to Jade later when we talk about SmackDown. I don't want to take us too far afield, especially because I wanted to give you this to kind of recap Raw and what you watched to jog your memory.
I think, honestly,
so please continue.
Just as a very brief aside, I think we're just getting Jade Tiffany again at Mania. But to continue, we got to see a Punk Finn Balor segment. I think I remember hating it, but I don't remember for sure. Punk is just so arrogant, and it's so unearned. Like, bro, we've seen you try and win real fights. You're only here because you're a good actor. Why are we all supposed to believe that you are like the cock of the walk the way that you act like you are? And the fans just buy it anyway. They just don't give a fuck. Kind of similar to like the way that Ronda Rousey, like, girl, we've seen you get knocked the fuck out. why are we supposed to believe that you are this badass that could take any woman in this locker room that you wanted when we know that you can be beaten, that you can be knocked out, that you can be tapped out, better yet. Um, but yeah, like the crowd just fucking buys into it anyway. And yeah, Punk annoyed the hell out of me in this segment. And you know, Valor is fine, but they brought back JD McDougalberries, and I fucking hate that guy. Oh God, I am very over this whole thing. I'm honestly, the thing is, we finally have a decent, and I say decent because I am not a fan of the way that he's been booked. But we finally have a decent champion on SmackDown, and now we got to deal with Fildred over here on Raw. Uh, God, it's awful. Um, I'm just gonna move on honestly because I don't really have any other commentary to add. We had a triple
Yeah.
threat for another qualifying, or actually no, this wasn't even for a chamber thing. This was for a number one contendership, and it wasn't even a triple threat either. It was a singles match for number one contendership for the Intercontinental title. It was Penta versus Ludwig Kaiser as El Grande Americano. Penta did win this in part thanks to the help of Chad Gable, original Americano. Uh, so Penta's getting a shot at the IC title. Who even is the current Intercontinental Champion, by
Because Dom won
the
it off Cena. I don't think
way?
he's dropped it
Yeah,
since.
that's right. That's right. Then we got an AJ Lee Becky Lynch promo. Horrible. I hated it. It was garbage. AJ Lee annoys me, and now, right now, currently, Becky Lynch actually annoys me even more because she's doing this weird forced stutter thing that like just absolutely grates on my nerves. So this program just cannot end soon enough for me. And then the main event was the triple threat: Gunther, Javon, and Dom. And thankfully, Javon actually won this thing, and I popped for that. That was cool.
Yeah, Javon's gonna kill it in the chamber. I think
Yeah,
that's gonna be like just a coming out party for
it's
Javon. Hopefully.
it's giving when John Morrison got a chamber opportunity finally, and he just fucking killed it in there too.
God, yeah, that 2011 Raw Chamber. I know everything ended, I guess, as it should, but man, Miz Morrison at that Mania with Morrison actually beating Miz after a grueling Chamber performance would have been fucking peak. But of course, I'm heavily biased. Other than that, I will say, as far as Penta goes, I just want to make this quick aside. I actually really hope he beats Dom for the IC title because here's the thing. We agree that Unreal is kind of like another work in a way where it's like, oh, hey, see how the songs are just made, but we're really like laying breadcrumbs for other stuff. You had that whole Paul Heyman segment in Unreal where he's like, oh, we got to do something with this fucking Penta. Oh, I swore. Isn't this great? But yeah, I mean, this is what you do with him. I mean, he's so over. He's still on top of his game. I am a bigger fan of Phoenix than Penta, but like I have eyes and I have ears. I see how over this dude is. And I just feel like Dom in his second Intercontinental title reign specifically really hasn't done anything with the title. But then again, I am more or less checked out, so I could be speaking out of my ass. But it just feels like he's really hasn't done anything. I think Penta would be a massive upgrade. That's not even me trying to hate on Dom. He's actually kind of a guilty pleasure for me. It's just that I think the title would get more momentum that way. So yeah, I'm rooting for Penta in that. But moving on to NXT, because I saw a little bit of NXT myself, but again, I want you to kind of take the lead on this. Pull up a recap of NXT and tell us what you watched and
Whoa,
what you
I
thought
did
about what
not
you
watch
watched.
NXT at all, bud.
Oh, you know what? Let me apologize. I apologize. You said Raw, TNA, and SmackDown. You did
Yeah,
not watch
yeah,
NXT.
yeah.
So,
Raw,
yeah.
Impact, and SmackDown. And again, just to emphasize, these are all things that my mom watched that were on my TV that I caught in the background while I was doing other things. Although I will admit, I was a little more attentive this week than usual because there was just more interesting shit going on, especially on SmackDown. I'm not used to SmackDown having so much shit that catches my attention and keeps me engaged as it did
Yeah.
this week. But yeah, I did. My mom wanted to watch Impact this week because Elias was on, or Elijah now in Impact. He actually main evented the show in a guitar case casket match against Mustafa Ali.
Yes. Yes. Oh, God. Just to save time, you all know how I feel about Ali and how criminal I think it is. He's booked wherever he fucking goes, and that really hasn't changed. Um, so, sour grapes and all that. But,
Did you
but
watch
yeah.
NXT?
A little bit of it, because I really am starting to get intrigued with this Sol Ruka Zarya story because now I'm wondering, like, is Zarya really going ill? Because I feel like online sympathy, which I know is only like a fraction of the whole community, but it's the one I'm most observant of. Online sympathy does seem to be more with Zarya because people have been saying, like, with Zaruka, they've acted like a team at times for sure, but when it comes to their individual careers, Sol, is kind of getting all the opportunities. She doesn't really seem to be supportive of Zarya getting opportunities, and they just feel like something's got to give. Now Sol had kind of a promo exchange with JC Jane. JC apparently, I know there was actually some good fanfare from her promo talking about how she's the most slept on member of just the NXT roster, maybe even in the entire WWE, because she keeps getting overlooked. I'm telling you, man, like she gives me that O2 undisputed champion Jericho vibes. Because Jericho even did a promo on The Rock leading up to them facing off at the Rumble in O2, same Rumble that Triple H would end up winning. And he said, because leading up to that promo, you had Kurt Angle and The Undertaker and even Triple H like coming into The Rock's locker room and more or less insinuating, hey, it's going to be me versus you, Rock, at WrestleMania. Like nobody gave Jericho any mind of winning, and he just blows a gasket over it. And he's like, "You will not look past me, you stupid son of a bitch," and he does that whole thing. Now, obviously, JC wasn't that like dramatic or cartoonish, but I think it's just a similar vibe of like everybody overlooks me, everybody disrespects me. Sol Ruka gets these opportunities. Nobody thinks about JC Jane doing anything. I finally get to my first women's rumble, and what do I hear? How Sol Ruka made it to the final three. And so JC feels disrespected. Now, to be fair, I didn't really hear Sol's part of the promo because the YouTube clip that I watched apparently like cut that off. But they start beating her. I should clarify by they, I mean, of course, Fatal Influence. Start beating down Sol Ruka. Zarya comes out and she feigns like she's gonna go after Sol. She like intimates like she's gonna do it, and she tells Fatal Influence like hold her up, and Jason's all excited like yeah, fuck Sol Ruka, stick it to her. And then Zarya I think speared Laney, and then she took out Fallon, and then she ducked the rolling encore from JC and kind of military pressed her and threw her on Fallon and Laney. And then Sol's like, oh God, Zarya, and then they hug and they make up. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I still feel like Zarya is gonna be the one to turn heel. Like I don't think NXT, just in my opinion, has the kind of depth or like I was trying to think of a way of saying like 5D chess brain to make Sol Ruka the heel because she's been like taking all these opportunities and kind of, being like, oh, Zarya, of course we're a team while she just keeps doing like her own thing. But it would be interesting. So I really am looking forward to Sol Ruka versus JC. Love Sol Ruka to death. You guys know that. Really, though, for me, I don't think she's going to win the title. I have been saying for a while that I think Jada Parker is the next NXT Women's Champion. I'm just waiting for Sol Ruka to get on the main roster permanently and start winning those women's world titles. So,
There you go.
yeah, that was like the big thing that I watched. But you said you didn't watch NXT, so and you already made your comments about Impact, right? Or was there anything more you wanted to say about Impact?
I was actually kind of surprised at how solid Impact was. I think my standards have been lowered so much by how absolute garbage SmackDown has been and how bad AEW was before I stopped watching it that Impact actually seemed kind of decent. I still do not like Matt
Yeah.
Braywalt on commentary. I still wish that they would get him the fuck out of there. And the thing is, like, there was a point in time that I thought he was just going to be there forever, and now I just don't understand like what is keeping him tied down there. I don't get it, but hey, whatever. Comment. I just still like Hannafin. He's still good. Um, First match was Indy Hartwell versus Heather from the Elegance brand, and I'm not impressed by Heather, but Indy's still good. Then Mike
Yeah.
Santana cut a fucking great promo. And then he called out Leon Slater. Leon Slater came out. I got the unfortunate realization that Leon Slater has literally the exact same accent as Will Ospreay. That was a real dream crusher for me.
Oh yeah, you shared that with the group, or you
Yeah,
shared that with me actually, and
yeah, I
now
sent
you're
it to Matt.
sharing it with the group,
Yeah,
and like it still hurts. So
yeah.
continue, please.
So then the Nemeths came out, both of them. and they were talking their shit. And then, dude, fucking Sonya Deville, Daria Baronato is some kind of authority figure in Impact, and I genuinely have no clue what role she plays specifically. Apparently, she's called the Suat. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't either.
She's still grading to me, and she set up some kind of a tag match between these teams. You know, the team of Mike Santana and Leon Slater and the Nemeths. Anyway, so then we got Stax from NXT. It's like Channing Stax Lorenzo coming out to the ring with Ariana Grace. They are a kayfabe couple now. Ariana Grace, by the way, I don't know if you knew this, John. Ariana Grace is the current Knockouts champion.
Yes, I did know that. I'm happy for her.
Dude,
I'm excited.
she cut a fan-fucking-tastic heel promo before this match, basically owning up to the idea that she is a Nepo baby and being like, why would I not use every single thing at my disposal to advance my career? You know what I mean? Like, she was great. This was a fantastic promo. I mean, I don't typically recommend people go out of their way to just find random promos online, but if you can find Ariana Grace's promo from Impact this week, I would say check it out. It's worth it. But then, yeah, we got a
Nice.
match. Stax challenging Trey Miguel for the international title. This is his contractual rematch, and they went out of their way to emphasize that. They really went out of their way to emphasize that this was Stax's contractual rematch, and I thought that was really cool. I wish more companies would do stuff like that. I really like the idea of like, if you want to make up like a kayfabe rule, tell people about it, enforce it, and tell people that you're enforcing it. I really like that. That's really good to me. Um,
Yeah.
Trey did retain here, which, I mean, given that that was Stax's contractual rematch, if TNA plays by the rules that they've laid out, he should be in the back of the line now. Stax should not get any other shots at the international title anytime soon. Um, then Eric Young cut a promo, and oh my god, he sounds and looks absolutely horrible in my mind. Um, I did not. First of all, I forgot that he was even still around. Second of all, I wish he wasn't still in the business and on TV. It's kind of weird. How old is Eric Young actually? Eric Young,
He's got to be in his 40s at this point, right?
46, which like younger than Styles and Cena, and he looks way, 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 way worse than those guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has some kind of condition, but man, he looked rough. He sounded rough. It was not easy to watch or hear. Um, but then Tessa fucking Blanchard is still on this goddamn show, and like for all of the positives that I could find, you're still actively platforming Tessa Blanchard. And what makes it worse is that she's in a faction with a black woman, specifically Victoria Crawford, formerly known as Alicia Fox, is rolling with her now. I found that really fucking odd and problematic, frankly. It just feels like TNA's trying to do damage control, trying to be like, hey, look, everyone, Tessa's okay with the black folks. She's got a black friend, see?
That's still. I can't believe we're still abiding by that logic in like
I know.
2026. Jesus
She
Christ.
she faced Jody Threat though, and Jody Threat did win that. Jody Threat is kind of cool. She's kind of charming. She's kind of fun. I do kind of like Jody Threat. She seems cool. Then we had Rich Swann and BDE, who was kind of a goofy, silly, fun guy, versus Sinner and Saint, which is a team I'd never heard of before. They kind of remind me of like, you remember Sammy Callahan's old team, Ohio versus Everyone OVE?
Yeah.
Sinner and Saint kind of reminded me of them. Kind of reminded me a little bit of like the fucking oh god, what were their names? That old crew in NXT that Nikki Cross ran with. I forget their names.
Oh, oh God, I forget their names
It
too.
doesn't matter. It
Jesus.
doesn't matter. They were generic white guys with beards and shit, right? Like that's whatever. Um, Match was fine, I guess. It wasn't bad. I will say, in the ring, Sinner and Sate felt a lot more like Motor City Machine Guns esque than all of the people that I just named. They were really smooth. They were really, really solid in the ring. Um, and they did win the match. Um,
It
then
was Sanity, by the way. It was kind of
Sanity.
bothering
Yeah,
me.
thank you.
Yeah, Sanity.
Then
Yeah.
Elena Black, who was Cora Jade in NXT, came out and laid down a challenge to Mara Sade, who was Jakara Jackson in NXT. They got a
Yeah.
little shit talk in, and I think that didn't really develop into anything. But I guess that it's just going to set up a match for the future. Um, then we get a little rundown for what's going to happen on Impact next week. We're going to be getting Danny Luna versus Lei Ying Lee, which again, Lei Ying Lee is formerly Xia Li on NXT. We're doing the Mike Santana and Leon Slater versus the Mammoths. AJ Francis versus Mance Warner, which there was a thing earlier in the show where, um, what's her name? Steph Delander called AJ Francis a pig, and Mance Warner is her husband in TNA. I don't know if that's a real life thing or if it's just a kayfabe thing. So yeah, that's set up AJ Francis versus Mance Warner. Ash by Elegance is going to be facing or going face to face, not actually in a match, going face to face with Mickey James. I guess Mickey James is back. Didn't know that. Jada Stone versus Tasha Steelz. The Hardy Boys and the Righteous versus the System. And TNA management will allow Steve Maclin to plead his case. I don't know what's going on there. There was a whole thing throughout the show where Hannafin went like backstage to try and stop Maclin from trying to do weird shit. I have no clue what's going on there, and I honestly don't care because it's Steve Maclin, and I don't give a shit about Steve Maclin. Apparently, he attacked Mike Santana at one point. Whatever. Fuck Steve Maclin. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, main event was Ali versus Elijah in the guitar case casket match. This was a really solid match. This was a match that WWE would have loved to have on like a random episode of Raw as like the main event of the show or something. And they missed out because they've released both of these guys for, as far as I can tell, no reason other than they just didn't want to fucking pay them.
Yeah. All right. We already kind of went through NXT because we're not trying to recap whole shows. We're just trying to go through like what
That's
we
kind of what I
watched. Yeah. Well, I mean, your mom was attentive to Impact, so we'll kind of give that one. But yeah, like with NXT, I only saw like a little bit. I did see Vanity Project became number one contenders for the NXT tag titles. So swipe right, I guess in this case, which is really cool. Ricky Saints challenging Joe Henry for the NXT title. We'll have to see how that goes. Miles Bourne challenging Ethan Page for the North American title. He apparently, like, kayfabe shattered his ankle because it was sandwiched in a steel chair and he kind of stomped on it, which, you know what? Given what Ethan put Javon through, good. Good. I liked seeing that. That made me smile. And yeah, that's essentially all the stuff I would care to talk about from NXT. So then we get to SmackDown, and I want to try and be patient and build up to the good stuff that I'm really excited to talk to you about. So let's go through this quick. We have Cody and Drew open the show with promos. Didn't really care for this. Fuck Cody Rhodes. Love Drew, but it's all whatever to me. Jacob Fatu though was also great because he interrupted Cody and he said, I had that triple threat one. I know it, and you know it,
Dude,
kind of thing.
I love that like Cody's privilege is just constantly on display, and they're brazen about it now, and they just expect people to keep cheering for him.
Yeah. Now what's interesting is Jacob Fatu, he really wants his hand on Drew McIntyre, like beyond the title, because we know that he thinks Drew was the one that took him out.
Yeah.
And Nick Aldis said, hey, listen, we got Chamber around the corner. We got Mania on the horizon. Like, just simmer down. I mean, he didn't say it like that. That's me coded. But he really was like, calm down. Let's go to my office, and we could talk about you getting your hands on Drew. I would love, even if it was non-title, a Drew versus Jacob Fatu matchup. I don't give a fuck about Cody Rhodes. I don't give a fuck about most people in the Elimination Chamber, to be honest, and Sammy failed to qualify. The people I fuck with most are Javon Evans and Trick Williams. This is the era of black excellence. Don't really care if anybody has a problem with that. It's happening. It's been happening.
I care if someone has a problem with that, because fuck them.
Exactly. So, yeah, that whole promo exchange happened, whatever. Then Ilya Dragunov lost to Tama Tonga, which made me smile because I don't hate Ilya Dragunov, but it's nice to see MFTs actually getting built up. And Solo pops me, man. I think now that Solo's like, I don't have to be Roman
Firmly
Reigns.
out of the main
I don't even
event.
have to be like I'm sorry. You kind of cut off at the beginning. Can you say that again?
I apologize for cutting you off, but you said now that Solo is kind of like, and I was going to kind of insert in there, firmly out of the main event.
Oh, yeah. No, what I was going to say, even though you're correct, now that Solo is pretty much like, I don't have to be Roman Reigns, and I don't even have to be Umaga, and he's kind of found like his own style as like a faction head, where he has that comedic side, but he can also, stand on business because look at the people standing behind him. I like how they're kind of building up the MFTs, but then, you have pretty much a new job squad come out and try and help Dragunov because you have Matt Cardona. Okay. He tries to come out. He gets put on his ass. Then Apollo Crews, which all due respect to Apollo because I think he's like a great athlete. Like he's good on the physical side. I am amazed he still works here. I think he's the new JTG.
He's been showing up randomly in backstage segments over the course of the last month or two, and I'm like, wait, the first time I saw him, I was like, wait a minute. He's still here? What?
Yeah, like he's the JTG of his generation because there used to be a meme about JTG, like how does he keep avoiding these releases? And then I'll never forget when he finally.
That Apollo did get released at one point, at least once.
Maybe he did, and they brought him back, dude. I don't know, but I was just shocked to see him here.
Yeah.
And yeah, then after that, then you have the Wyatt Six show up on a Tron, and honestly, like I kind of checked out at that point because I miss fucking Bray, and this gimmick just isn't it. And like it's maybe we should just reset and have these people do something else. I don't know. I've kind of lost interest. I thought it started out as something so different and so cutting and so sincere, and now it just seems to be like kind of a joke of itself to me anyway. So yeah, real shame, but. That was that, because I guess MFT still have the tag titles and Wyatt Six won them back for reasons, I don't understand. Whatever. Jade Cargill had a segment, didn't really pay attention to this, to be quite honest, so we'll just skip over that. Then we get to Charlotte versus Kiana James versus Nia Jax. And the match was a bit clunky, and yeah, I'm really happy about it, but TWitWoW prides itself on being honest and calling the proverbial balls and strikes when they happen. Now, I do not care in the slightest for Charlotte Flair as a competitor. That inadvertently kind of rhymed. Didn't mean to. Charlotte should have won this match because they had a miscue. I feel like Kiana missed her kick-out cue because they did a Spanish fly spot, which also took a little bit longer than I would have liked. See, this is another reason why I hate this style of wrestling today. Because, like, if you feel like you can't do a spot or it would take too long, don't do the spot, right? Because, like, you're giving me enough time to be taken out of it. Just as a side note, because we are in the wrestling section, I watched, and I've actually watched a few times because I think it's such a perfect match. Shelton Benjamin versus Triple H for Shelton's Raw debut back in March of 2004, like after WrestleMania 20, where he got the big upset win over Triple H. That was such a great match, and it really taught me, like, a match could be great if you have an underdog that you can get people behind, because Shelton's just entertaining to watch in the ring. So he's a great example of that. Triple H, whatever you want to say about the Reign of Terror, Golden Shovel, any of that, he was a heel that everybody hated and would relish in seeing get beat. So he had the stature where his character and everything actually fucking mattered. And I swear, I feel like the biggest spot in that match was either a diving clothesline that Shelton did or like his dragon whip kick, where like they would catch the one leg, they'd spin him around, and then he'd do pretty much like a spinning heel kick to the face. And both those moves got nice pops from the crowd and loud near fall counts when he would go for the pin attempt. And I'm like, man, you just don't see that today. Because, like, if they were to do that today, they would get up immediately, like 5 seconds after the Dragon Whip, not even selling it long enough for a near fall. And I don't even know if you'd see a diving clothesline. You might see like a 630 or some shit, which is beautiful to look at. But it's just the simple point of like less is more. And that's the thing. I think in this new style of wrestling, there are people that feel pressured to kind of do things to get the pop or whatever. Now, Charlotte's done Spanish flies before. I just wonder if Kiana James wasn't necessarily used to taking the move. It just felt like the coordination was a bit off. And I'm like, I just hate that they feel this kind of need to do this when, I don't know, maybe you could just have matches that are more tailored to your style that are compelling in another way. It's like Austin said, learn to work. Working isn't just doing moves, it's the whole psychology behind them. But that's my old man rant for the evening. Um, yeah, Kiana was late on her kick out cue, but the match continued. And then I did like the finish because it comes down to Nia and Charlotte, seemingly. Charlotte gets the figure eight on Nia, but then Kiana slips in with a crucifix on Charlotte, and she pins Charlotte. And yeah, I will just echo what everybody else has been saying. Charlotte being away from the main event, being with Alexa in a tag team that I think actually has genuine babyface fanfare, and eating pins in matches like this is doing wonders for her career. I think the hatred for her has gone way down from what I've seen. But let me hand it over to you real quick, bud. How do you feel about Kiana James qualifying, and did you have any thoughts about this match?
Dude, she keeps lifting Nia Jax up. It's crazy. They're wasting this insane spot on a nothing match. It's unbelievable. Um,
Right? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's really fucking cool that they decided to really take a shot on this relative unknown in WWE and gave her the platform. I mean, dude, if Royal Rumble wasn't evidence enough, this right here should be all the evidence anyone needs to know that WWE is heavily invested in making Kiana James a star. Royal Rumble was the first really big sign of it because, like, the way that they let her be in there for a while, they had her lift Nia Jax in that match too. They gave her a lot of shine in the Royal Rumble, and people came away from that thinking like they were smart for pointing out that Kiana James was impressive in the Royal Rumble, as if that wasn't the most obvious thing WWE wanted you to come away thinking. And now she's got a spot in the Rumble, and she won a match that also involved two huge stars for them, former multiple-time women's champions, the single most decorated woman in the history of the company. Like, yeah, Kiana James has a rocket ship strapped to her back right now, and I think too many people don't even realize it. It's kind of nuts, actually. Like, it would not surprise me if Kiana James won Women's Money in the Bank this year or next, just straight up.
Just to kind of ask you a follow up, just to kind of build on this line of discussion you broached here. Because I know somebody I saw online, because Facebook is always recommending me like random wrestling Facebook groups or whatever, and I'll see somebody's post or somebody's comment. Somebody was wondering if this would dovetail into Kiana James being the one to beat Julia for the U.S. title. Like, if her even qualifying for Chamber would cause tension between the two because Julia failed to qualify. Do you see that as a possibility?
I'm sorry, can you just repeat the question, please?
Okay, let me simplify. Do you see it as a possibility that Kiana James could beat Julia for the U.S. title because there might be tension that she qualified for Chamber and Julia didn't, and maybe they could like kind of dovetail that into a feud that would
Maybe,
lead to Kiana beating her for the title?
maybe
Yeah.
they are kind of like there are moments in like backstage segments where other women are trying to drive some tension between them. So I could see that happening at some point. It would be Julia turning on Kiana though. Kiana would go face.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean, I've liked Kiana since NXT. I'm happy for her. I actually, to be perfectly honest, I think her being in the chamber actually does get me reinvested a little bit in the women's. Even though I do agree with you, I do think Tiffany is going to win. I think we even have a question from Super Blue later in the show, previewing and predicting Chamber. So there's a little sneak peek right there. We'll reiterate it though when the time comes. But yeah, Kiana wins. Let me go back to the WWE YouTube channel. Just go with these segments by order. Um, so yeah, this actually seems like proper order to me. Yeah, we have Sammy. Okay, now we're getting into the stuff that I was really excited. Actually, no. Jumping the gun. I apologize. We have two more things. Overfemi and Kit Wilson had an amazing fucking segment. I
It was really
really
funny.
love this. But yeah, I enjoyed it. You know what? I know what a huge Opa fan you are. I actually want you to go first on this again. So what did you take away from this, man?
Well, this might have even been the segment that really won me over on Kit Wilson because I've found him more annoying and grating than entertaining so far in his run, but this segment I did enjoy. Um, I thought it was cute how he tried to back out of the match by just kind of kissing up to Oba and blowing smoke up his ass, and Oba held him to it, and Oba made him recite his poetry, even though he told him that he wasn't ready and that it was old material. And Oba made him pay for it. It was really good stuff. He's a good, effective lower mid card heel. I do want Oba to move up, and I think he kind of already is because we got, you know, basically, in kayfabe confirmation that he's going to be facing the Miz probably next week. Miz is definitely a move up from Kit Wilson. And yeah, Oba got to show some of his personality, some of his comedic timing this week, and yeah, it was fantastic. He engaged with the crowd. It was good stuff, really good.
Yeah, dude, I completely agree with you. I feel like Oba, and I've said this to you. I've said it in the Discord. Which quick shout out to Sean, which we'll get more into that discussion when we get to what Trick and Sammy and everybody did, which that'll just be in a few moments. But had a great discussion with Sean in the Discord, which I know you kind of chimed in, Mark, other people. So that was the most fun I've had in the wrestling discussion Discord in a long time. So I want to thank Sean primarily for that because we're really just appreciating what Trick is doing, which again we'll get to in a few moments. But Oba, I've been saying to you, and I said in the Discord, it astounds me that they're kind of doing the slow burn with him, but I do see the benefit of it in moments like this where he can really show his range on the mic. Like we already know in NXT he has aura for fucking days. He can be that serious, legitimate obstacle. But the idea, like, and I think I think I don't want to impart this to you incorrectly, but I feel like you've kind of likened him to Batista in the past, and this was
Yeah.
very Batista coded to me because we know
Mm-hmm.
Batista had a sense of humor too. And like, yeah, I totally I bought into that comparison the first time you made it, so it's not like I was a doubter about that, but this really sold me because what this kind of reminded me of was Batista's match with Simon Dean, where he kind of uses the Simon system to power up and like do offense or whatever, and then he poses with one of the protein shakes as he's pinning Simon. But yeah, in this case, it's read the poem, read it, and just kind of bullying Kit to read more poetry. Kit Wilson, I like that he's got a good thing going for him. I'm happy for the person because we've talked about before on the show. When a tag team partner goes down, the whole tag team usually is fucked in WWE. The idea that Kit has been able to keep himself afloat with this, like, mad respect.
Well, and from
So
what I
yeah,
understand, I mean, isn't Elton Prince like kind of fucked, like might never wrestle again type shit?
I mean it is neck based, and that's always deeply concerning. So I don't know. I mean we'll see what the future
I tell you
holds. He
what,
is
they're gonna
very
make me
young.
care about Kit Wilson enough that if Elton does return, I'm gonna pop for it.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you, if he returns, I would definitely want a pretty deadly tag title run. I mean, tag titles are
Mm-hmm.
practically meaningless anyway. Give it on a team that you could actually get an emotional response out of.
Yeah.
But if you want to know how slow the burn with Obafemi is, not only is he having a match with Miz next week, I see here on YouTube that he had a match on main event against Joaquin Wilde. Um, and that was back on the 19th. So they're even putting Oba on main event. So you know what though? He may be starting slow. I still think he's going to finish first because putting him on all these shows, you're exposing him to as many people as possible. And then the first time he really makes a big challenge, I have to wonder how big the pop will be. So I am curious about all that. But yeah, this is good stuff. Let's see what else. Okay, so Tiffany defeated Alba Fire. Really a nothing burger here.
Yeah,
And
actively
now,
skipped over that match.
yeah, now we could talk about what I give a shit about because I think there are a lot of interesting pieces here. So Sami Zayn is backstage, and Cody Rhodes kind of sees him, and he's like, "Hey, Sammy, hell of a match. You got nothing to be ashamed of." Which, I'm sorry, it is us, it is our podcast, so I'm gonna let my personality show here. Fuck Cody Rhodes for being patronizing in record time. Oh, you have nothing to be ashamed of, Sammy. Oh, thank you, because your approval means everything. What a fucking dick.
I mean,
Then
dude, the
Sammy.
thing is, like, not only was it patronizing off the bat, but it was also just like insulting to the audience's intelligence because, like, we watched the show last week. We saw, Cody, that you let Sammy save you from Drew and then took advantage of his vulnerability to pin him in a match that he could have won as well. You prick.
Exactly. And then Sammy does more or less say that. He's like, I know I don't have to be ashamed of anything. It's you that should be ashamed. And then he explains, like, yeah, I saved you from Drew and everything else. And then, long story short, Cody is like, you're the only reason that you haven't been a world champion. The problem with Sami Zayn is essentially Sami Zayn, which I want to have another sidebar here and say that Cody has done this again, where when he gets blamed for something, he flips it on the other person.
Yeah, he did the exact same thing to Sami Zayn's BFF, Kevin Owens.
Exactly. And going back to my beautiful, wonderful, invigorating conversation with Sean, somebody in the comments when I watched this on YouTube again said, Sammy is realizing that Kevin was right. Kevin Owens is always right. And yeah, you hear that? Yeah, that's the sound of me not disagreeing. Because everybody should listen to fucking Kevin Owens. And honestly, while I am going to be an S-tier douchebag saying this, if you don't listen to Kevin Owens, you're probably a fucking mark. I just, that's just honestly how I feel at present. He always tells the truth. He's always fucking right. He told everybody what Cody was, and now Sammy's seeing it. Sammy, the same guy. Oh, I try and get along with everybody. Wake up, Sammy. Which he apparently still needs to do because he knocks a water bottle over in frustration, and then Trick Williams. Now, this is where we really have a lot to talk about. He laughs, almost a Seth Rollins-esque laugh, but not quite. And then he says, oh, hey, let me give you some advice, which really wasn't even advice, because he says, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do what you couldn't do, and that's qualify for the Elimination Chamber. Let's talk about that. Now, I will just say this before we finish out this segment with Sammy and Cody, because I hated how this fucking ended. People are really responding to Trick. Like, more than I even thought with him as a heel, actually. And it is fascinating to me in the best way. Sean straight up said, bro, and I have to agree with him the more that I think about it, he's like, Trick Williams, as he is right now, has got to be the best Money in the Bank candidate in the last decade. And I honestly think he's right, because I'm picturing Trick with that briefcase the way he is now with the promos he's cutting. And man, like, that gets me out of bed. Like, I actually, this might be the most I've ever liked Trick, because just seeing him do this, I'm like, I feel like this is what pro wrestling is supposed to be. You have this really great talker that's solid enough in the ring, right? But in such a way that he's not going to be in a wheelchair in like 10 fucking years. And he has that aura. And you have Sammy, who does riskier stuff for sure, but also I think because it's the WWE style, he's not going to be, fucking insane. And the crowd's starting to sour on him a little bit. It really does give Austin Hart vibes a little bit. And I'm here for it. I'm really liking what these two are doing, to the point where I think I said this to you during Rocket League last night. I'm becoming increasingly intrigued by a Sami Zayn Trick Williams matchup at WrestleMania, because I will say right now, not to give too much away, because I know Super Blue asked this for our Q&A section, I really don't think Cody is going to win Chamber. I mean, it's never a zero with him, right? But I see Cody's WrestleMania path either being Sami Zayn or, what was I going to say? Fuck. I used to think Jacob, not anymore. So really, I'll say this. It's not zero, but it's either he faces Drew again or he faces Sammy. And I honestly think he could face Sammy. But if he's not going to face Sammy at Mania, I would love Sammy versus Trick, because I think that could be a low-key fucking banger on whatever night it happens on. So, yeah, Trick kind of walks away, and we'll get to his match a little later. But then the segment ends. Sammy aggressively calls Cody's name, and you think, oh, man, he's going to, like, shove it back to him. And he apologizes, and the crowd audibly fucking boos Sammy apologizing to Cody, which I thought was extremely telling, because it's either A, they're tired of goody two-shoes Sammy and just tired of Sammy as a babyface in general, B, they're sick of Cody and they want people to, like, tell Cody off and stand up to Cody, or C, all of the above. And I think, honestly, it might be C. But they kind of squash it. Yeah.
I'm about to compare Sammy to someone that is really offensive, but I need to be clear, and I think that you're going to understand me. I'm strictly making this comparison because of the tucking the tail between the leg thing. Sami Zayn is the Hakeem Jeffries of pro wrestling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like you think he's going to do something, and
it's a strongly worded letter.
Exactly. So Yeah, I hated this, but I do think it's part of a larger story. So now let me hand it over to you because I was really excited and I said a lot, but now I want to get your perspective on the whole thing from Sammy confronting Cody to Trick kind of intervening and how Trick has been kind of needling Sammy lately to the resolution of the segment. So what do you think about all this and the possibilities for this? You already heard me talk about Trick versus Sammy at Mania potentially. Sean's already talking about Trick as a Money in the Bank holder this year. What do you think about when you think about Trick's trajectory and just everything going on? Just give me your thoughts on everything, if you would.
I love the comparison that you made between a potential Sami Zayn Trick Williams WrestleMania match and the Austin Brett match at Mania. What was it, like 12,
13.
13?
Or was it 12? Was it? You might be right that it was 12 actually.
Actually, yeah, I think
Um,
because 13 was when Austin beat Michaels for the belt, right?
you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, it was 12. It was 12. I was wrong.
Okay. Look at me remembering my wrestling history and my WrestleMania numbers. I'm just gonna take a moment to bathe in my memory actually working for once when it comes to this stuff. But yeah,
Oh,
so
actually, no. It was 13. It was 13. Actually, I just looked it up. Yeah.
awesome. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. Awesome. I actually
Yeah.
genuinely, I know I sound sarcastic, but I genuinely do appreciate you looking that up and finding the correct answer for us. So then
Yeah.
it was 14 then that he
Yeah.
beat
That made me short
Michaels for the
circuit for
belt,
sure.
and then it was 15 would have been
Yes.
his first match with Rock at Mania because they did 15, 17, and 19. Yeah.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, 13. Yeah. But the point is, you've got a Canadian babyface that people are starting to sour on, going against an up and coming American that people are just plain connecting with. Even if he isn't the best in the ring, and I think Austin was actually pretty damn good in the ring at the time, because I actually this might have even been what's the timeline on when Austin broke his neck? When was that?
That's a great question because I feel like that was mid to late 90s somewhere. Let me just type it in real quick. When did Austin break his neck? Oh god, I typoed the shit out of that. What the fuck? When did Austin break his neck? All right, and the internet says 1997.
Yeah, 97, but when? Well, it almost had to be. Oh, it was
SummerSlam in
97
97.
Summers. That is so interesting. So what the fuck? That's crazy. Because he wrestled at Mania the following year. So he recovered from a broken fucking neck in like 8 months. What the fuck? He won the world title like 8 months later. That's insane.
Yeah, bro, money is a huge fucking motivator. I think Austin saw the dollar signs of his character and he's like, if I'm off the shelf, like object permanence kind of thing, like I need to get back on TV as soon as possible.
Wow.
Uh
Anyway, yeah. So the whole like Brett Austin thing, um, God, yeah, I get it though. I get it because like, yeah, like Trick is really over with his promos. He's really connecting with the crowd through his promos. Um, and Austin was the same way. And they're both. I mean, Austin was a heel at the time. Trick is a heel right now. I'm telling you, like, I love that comparison. I love it, and it feels a lot like they might be headed towards a double turn with Trick going face and embracing the crowd, and or at least tweener and embracing the crowd a little more, and just starting to be more aggro towards heels rather than currently the way he is, where he's more aggro towards faces. And then with Sammy going heel, and I think I love that too much to concede the possibility of Cody Sammy happening at Mania at all.
I completely get that, man. I completely. But can I ask you a follow-up question, actually?
Yes.
And I know this is looking a bit far in the future, and if you don't want to indulge that, I completely understand that. So you already know, again, this is my third time saying it. Sean thinks Trick would be an amazing Money in the Bank holder, but if they do the double turn, I actually would love to see Sammy hold the briefcase because
Yeah.
Cody's whole thing was Sami Zayn is the only thing getting in the way of Sami Zayn being champion. So I could see Trick on top of the ladder and Sammy pushes the fucking ladder over and then he takes the briefcase. And I would even like it if he cashed in on a babyface Trick. Sean had the idea of him even cashing in on Roman Reigns, which that would be a nice, coming back to that whole thing.
Yeah.
I just see a lot of possibility
Is Roman in the
with
chamber?
these two characters specifically. He's not in the chamber. No. Well, he's already got his world title match set because keep in mind he's challenging Punk at Mania.
Oh, that's right, because he won the fucking Rumble. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I need to look and see who's in the chamber.
I can tell you that right now, actually, because I have it pulled up. It's Javon Evans, Trick Williams, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and LA Knight. And we know the final spot is going to go to either Bronson Reed, Jey Uso, or Chad Gable.
Yeah.
El Grande Americano original or whatever the fuck.
So, wow. So one of those guys is facing Drew at Mania for the title.
Yes, and I am just gonna say now again, it's kind of crazy that we're answering Super Blues question in part ahead of time. After the events of SmackDown, my thoughts on it being Randy have gone like way up because Aleister Black actually beat Randy in the main event because of Drew McIntyre, and I'm like, I just wonder if that's going to set up like Randy wanting revenge and having to win the chamber to get that revenge. So I'm really starting to look seriously at Randy Orton being the winner.
God.
Yeah.
You know, Randy Drew matches are reliable at least, but that feels like they're intentionally booking the SmackDown main event to be less exciting than the Raw main event on purpose to justify the Raw main event going on last over the SmackDown main event. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, dude, the moment Sammy didn't qualify and you didn't want to tell the story of Sammy finally beating his obstacle for the world title at Mania.
Because, like,
I'm like,
realistically, ignoring who's qualified already, who other than Sammy is interesting enough to really justify main eventing WrestleMania against Drew? I don't know if there's any one person.
Not on the spec. The only person, and again, he didn't qualify either, would have been Jacob Fatu with the whole story of he really believes that Drew took him out.
I almost have to wonder if Cody's going to win Chamber and Jacob's going to find a way into the match, and we're going to get a triple threat between Drew, Jacob, and Cody.
And you know what? Part of me would hope so, and I love too that you're keeping that Trick Sammy match intact because you already said that like you're not buying Sammy Cody at all, and I don't blame you. Because nobody wants to see Cody Drew again. And I think WWE knows that. I mean, dude, they did 3 stages of hell for fuck's sake, right? So, like, Jacob in there would at least enliven it a little bit. And so, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
Like, Jacob thinks that Drew attacked him. So, realistically, for them to have a WrestleMania main event involving Drew as champion and anyone other than Jacob involved in that match feels so, like, anticlimactic to me. Jacob and Drew are a hot program right now. That needs to be a WrestleMania match to me. Do you think they're going to take the title off Drew before Mania? Do you think they're going to pull the rug out from under him like that?
Dude, and see, here's the thing. I don't want to be that guy to give you a non-answer, but I genuinely don't know. Because on one hand, I really do feel like Drew McIntyre's booking is kind of shit. But on the other hand, like, it seems like they're kind of serious about him as their heel world champion right now. So I genuinely do not know. I mean, I personally would have just loved Drew versus Jacob at WrestleMania for the title, and Cody could just fuck all the way off. Maybe have a match with Orton or something, just to get that finally out of the way. But once again, Cody is like a heartbeat away from the title picture, and it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, I really don't care for Men's Chamber because whoever even gets the last spot, it's like, I love Chad to death, but I don't like the Americano stuff. Jey Uso, I'm sorry. Like, I'm now where everybody else has been for months, and I'm over it. I really tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. I popped when he won Rumble last year, but he had his world title reign. We did it. We told that story. And Bronson Reed, I don't even think is going to happen because I think the Masked Man's going to screw him over. So, there you go. Yeah, Men's Chamber's kind of meh right now to me. Hopefully Javon and Trick can have some standout moments.
But at least neither of the Bella twins made it into the Women's Chamber. That's kind of a nice little consolation prize, although I still am going to hate the winner if it's Tiffany again.
Yeah, you know what? I love your face for bringing it back to hope. That's and just optimism. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I was there a question? Am I answering a question right now? What conversation are we having?
Oh, I am so sorry. So let's reset the conversation because we both kind of went on a side quest. Oh God, what did I even ask you? let me think. Because we were talking about Sammy and oh yeah, I wanted your thoughts on everything, and then we were kind of talking about Money in the Bank and like if Sammy's heel, I would like him to win it, and I think
Oh,
that
Money in the
then
Bank.
somehow we
Yeah.
got to Chamber. But yeah, yeah, because I agree with Sean that Trick would be so good with it, but I think I'd only really feel that way if Trick was still a heel. If they do a double turn, it's got to be Sammy in my mind, because him getting a shortcut to a championship
Yeah.
would just be so perfect, given that his whole thing is he literally told Cody, like, I've taken 10 years to try and finish my story.
Yeah.
So, what the hell is this?
I'm sorry to
Yeah,
be kind of copping out here, bud, because I feel like you've been really passionate about Sami Zayn winning a world title for a few months now. I'm done trying to predict that
yeah.
ever happening, ever.
Hey, that's fine, man. I don't think that's copping out at all. That's just you being honest about where you're at, and like I don't blame you whatsoever. Um,
I am glad that
yeah,
you're finally on board with it,
yeah,
that you're finally like passionate about it, because I feel like for a long time you were more apathetic towards it. But yeah, no, we're kind of ships passing in the night because I'm burnt out on hoping for it, and your your fuse has been lit now.
yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, it took a major hit when he didn't qualify for Chamber. Because I'm like, wow, like the story was right fucking there. Like Drew giving him the win because he thinks he's the easiest one to beat, and then Sammy like being incensed by that, determined to win the Chamber, does it, and then he goes all the way. But no, dude, I fucking hate Cody Rhodes. I know that goes without saying. I really do, but like I just need to say it again. I fucking hate Cody Rhodes. I think he ruins everything he's a part of.
Yeah.
And yeah, just I'm over it, but it's whatever. So Mishin kind of has a backstage segment with Jade, and I'm gonna be honest about this. I love Mishin. She seems like a sweetheart, but every time she gets involved with these big level players, she loses. So I don't really see the
Yeah.
point in getting excited. I just think Jade's
No,
gonna
I
steamroll
mean,
her.
there's
So
no
that
reason to
happened.
get excited. The reason that you get excited about Michin mixing it up with a main eventer is if the main eventer is a good wrestler and we get a good match out of it. That's it. And this is not that.
You're right. You're right. Um, Trick qualified in a fun matchup. I like the finish. I thought that was pretty good. Um, And yeah, I'm just happy that Trick is getting this rub. He's killing it. The crowd pop is definitely there. I don't see this on the YouTube page, so I don't even know when this happened on the show, but I do want to mention that they are continuing the sad Gargano storyline, as well as they panned a few times, and Ashton, I think, cracked it, and I can't
Oh,
really hate
I
his
didn't crack
face.
this. To be clear, I did not crack this. I am just going with the theory that I've seen other people talk about that I think makes the most sense.
Well, so then you were the messenger, at least to me.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in shooting the messenger, and I could never do anything awful to that face. But when I asked Ashton during our gaming sesh, hey, bud, what do you think they're doing with the crate? Because I'll admit that I was intrigued. And immediately Ashton said, again, from apparently what he's seen online, he said, Jericho.
Yeah.
To which I replied, let me actually turn off my crisp for this. Oh, I know I didn't make the sound, but what I was really thinking internally was, oh.
You know,
And
it's funny because
I,
I think you and my mom both said, "Oh fuck" at the same time.
yeah, it's hell. It's hell. I hate living here. I hate
Jericho.
this timeline. I don't really care for most people, especially because most people are probably Jerichoholics, at least in the wrestling sphere. And I'm happy to say that I'm sober for a good bit ever since really learning what a piece of shit he is. And then I, in my classic John petulance, said Gunther to retire him at Mania. To which Ashton did one of his signature laughs, and he said, come on, bud. They're not going to do that after they have him back for like a month. And then I more or less said something to the effect of, let me have this, okay? I didn't even
Bro,
say exactly that, but that's pretty much what I was gesturing at
it is
because I was in my feelings.
it is
So,
unbelievable how much goodwill Chris Jericho has flushed down the toilet in like 5 years.
dude, look, I don't really care for revisionist history. I mean, you're talking to a guy that, I mean, one of my favorites is Benoit, and do I even need to say any fucking more? Um, I used to really love Chris Jericho, especially as like a character performer. The
Dude, all
returns
of
and
us
everything.
did. He was beloved for
Yeah,
a really long time in WWE. The list of Jericho was less than a decade ago.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was entertaining all of us, clicking his little clicky pen and going, "You just made the list!" Less than a decade ago. That was like 9 years ago. he's a widely known piece of shit and a pariah now.
Yeah, and listen, at the risk of being the asshole, I need to say this too. When you open that fucking crate, is my Chris? Actually, no, I turned Chris back on momentarily. Let me turn it off again.
Nice.
When you open that crate, you better be in fucking shape. Like you better look good,
You
okay? Because
better have
like
spent the last 6 months fasting and working out fasted.
you better have been in the hyperbolic time chamber, and then when you leave the hyperbolic time chamber, your ass is still in a fucking gym because you needed fucking work. I saw him on AEW, okay? I saw the video that Abel posted like a year ago where it's like Edge is like, or excuse me, Cope was like, AEW is where the best wrestle, and then the rest is just Jericho botches that had me. What a dumb bitch. But yeah, that's Jericho who thinks his shit doesn't fucking stink. And yeah, I don't really believe
Oh,
in
by the
body
way,
shaming,
do
but
me
you
a
know what?
favor and just back away from the mic a little bit. It sounds like you're eating it.
Oh, I apologize. I apologize. Is that better?
Yeah, much.
Okay, so I don't really even believe, and that's probably also because my Christmas off, and I will be turning it on again momentarily. But I don't even really believe in body shaming. But I was even going to say, you know what? Fuck that. I don't even need to put that qualifier out because I love Bray Wyatt. I love Kevin Owens. Those guys got shamed for their physiques for fucking years. Okay, I don't need to say shit. Uh, if you can go, I don't care how big you are.
Being a
Like
decent
Umaga,
person supersedes everything.
yeah, first of all, yes. And second of all, even if you're talking strictly wrestling, as long as you can go, not botch everything you fucking do, I don't care if you're 450 pounds or whatever the hell. Like, just be able to work. And Jericho is a hot fucking mess. I guarantee you, like, whatever they're
To be
planning to do with
fair,
him,
he's also like 55 years old.
yes. Which, at that point, though, somebody in the fucking room needs to be sensible and say, wait a minute, he's old. No. And nobody's doing that. So you can't blame me then for being like, why is nobody doing this? Which I hate that I do that in every facet of my fucking life because I'm also looking at the state of the US, which we'll get to that. And I'm like, what the fuck?
You were so close to just going full Trevor Lee there. We will get to that.
Yes, we will get back to that. And Jericho is pretty much a microcosm of everything I hate in my life. Just as a U.S. citizen, as a person of the earth, he is emblematic of all the fucking suck that we all deal with. I mean, somebody staying way past their welcome. I mean, does that not scream Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries? Somebody that can't work or be entertaining. I don't know, AI slop and people that have 3 Netflix specials about how they were canceled one time or whatever the fuck. Like, Jericho really is. Like, Jericho and everything wrong with society is a flat fucking circle. Because God knows he has flat nothing right now. So yeah, when that crate fucking opens, you better be in fucking shape, okay?
I'm sure his biceps are plenty flat.
Well, you know what? Fair retort. Fair retort. And with that, I'm going to turn my Chris back on. But yeah, Jericho, just that does not do anything for me. And
Well,
yeah,
it does plenty for me in the way of pissing me the fuck off.
Yeah. Up. Nice. See, already, that was the best thing that Jericho has contributed was he got you to use tone, which made me pop. That's it. You've peaked.
Nice.
Go away. So
That's it. You peaked. Time for Gunther to retire.
exactly.
That's gonna be like an every couple of months thing. It's gonna be like, Oh my God, can Jericho please just get retired by Gunther next pay-per-view?
Yeah. Oh God! Oh, biggest pop of Gunther's career by far. I mean, Jesus Christ. Rhea and Julia go to a no contest. I really didn't see much of this match. I only saw
Actually,
like
dude,
the
Rhea
final few
technically
moments.
won that via disqualification, according to the website I'm looking at.
Yeah, because fucking Naya,
Nia, yeah.
Naya, and oh
Lash.
God, Lash. Yeah, I got there. Lash. She also came out. I know they're like a tag team now. They're actually going to be challenging, I think, this Monday for the women's tag titles.
Yep.
And Rhea and Io are just super cute together. It's going to be such a shame when one of them loses their ability to trust because of my favorite, betrayal. I'm still thinking it's happening.
Betrayal.
Mainly because I don't believe in love in pro wrestling or just solid, secure, healthy relationships. Now you might be thinking,
In
wow,
pro
John,
wrestling.
are you well, yeah, sure, in pro wrestling. And people might be thinking, like, wow, John, is that a problem with you? Yes. But Aleister Black beat Randy Orton in the main event because Drew clocked Randy Orton in the skull with the WWE Championship. Cody gave chase. The crowd went mild. Aleister Black got the pin. I do like Aleister, but man, this whole thing with Zelina, which you thought I'd be hyped for because, they're married and they very clearly care about each other, and I love that for them. No doubt
Why
about it.
is
Yeah.
Zelina Vega historically a better manager for literally everyone else she's ever managed in WWE that's not her husband than she's been for her husband?
Bro, first of all, you're right, so I just want to acknowledge what you said. And then piggybacking off of what you said, I will never forgive WWE because they did it a little bit. It's not that it never happened, but just giving up on Zelina and Andrade together, like, I love those two together, and I really wish she was his manager like the whole time while also competing. Like I wouldn't want to deny Zelina ring time,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just that magic is not translating. You're absolutely right,
Bro,
and that
you
was
know how I
yeah,
told you the other day that I've been watching Smart Guy lately?
yes,
I watched the episode where TJ and Yvette try and set their dad up with a blind date via an online dating service, and
yeah.
TJ is typing Floyd's information in, and he accidentally, because Marcus distracts him while he's typing the height in, he types his own height, which is 4'5". And I was like, wait a minute, 4'5"? He's barely shorter than Zelina Vega. She's 4'9". What the
Oh
Like,
my
he's
god.
a literal child, and this grown ass woman is just barely taller than
Pop again.
him.
I
I'll
love
take
that
the pops.
somehow. I love that somehow you were able to work a smart guy reference into us talking about the SmackDown main event.
That's right.
Oh, God
That's right.
bless human shrinky dinks. So with that being said, that's pretty much pro wrestling. I don't have anything else to talk about because I feel like we really run the gamut this week. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Then, good golly gosh, everyone, I'm going to move away from my mic
Good
again because I'm
golly
going to turn off Chris
Josh.
because we're fucking doing politics. I don't even fucking know where to start. So you know what? I actually do know because I don't want to forget about this person. ICE killed another individual. Actually, there have been two new reported deaths. One that was over a year old that people didn't know about. Unfortunately, I forget that young man's name, but I believe that happened in Texas. So, what else needs to be said? Fuck ICE. But I also do want to mention this woman's name because we talk about the white victims of ICE, but we've already said that, ICE killed people in 2025 that were definitely like either Hispanic or black or what have you. And it happened again because in a vehicle pursuit, ICE hit and killed an elementary school teacher, Linda Davis, in Savannah, Georgia. Georgia, in Chatham County, a county that has a strict no chase policy. ICE was chasing a man, Oscar Lopez. And Lopez, here's the thing, had no criminal history. And so, yeah, Lopez was being chased by ICE because they have quotas to meet because it's connected with the private prison system, which is just, again, a capitalist fucking function. Stephen Miller has stock in certain private prison companies. And get this, because you know what? I'm glad I'm mentioning ICE in this context because right above that, this independent media outlet called The Appeal said that in earning, I don't know when this was really posted. I'm guessing sometime like in the past week. In earnings calls earlier today, the Appeal said in their Twitter post, investors in Geo Group and Core Civic which I guess are private prison companies, criticized ICE. Their chief complaint: ICE's detained population, despite hitting record highs, still isn't large enough. I'm going to just try and keep it to reporting the news. Do I even need to say any more about why capitalism is fucking bad? I think we all get the fucking point, yeah? So Linda Davis, may she rest in peace. And again, I think it's important we talk about all victims when we know about it. I know no one person can know anything, but she deserves to be talked about just as much as Alex Preddy and Renee Good. You're talking about, that was a fucking school teacher. You know, like that's a beautiful fucking vocation. Teachers don't get paid nearly fucking enough, and now they got to worry about this fucking shit, as if the active shooter drills weren't stressful fucking enough. The Trump regime continues to be underwater. Last I heard, Gallup isn't even doing presidential approval polls. My sentiments exactly, bud. Presidential approval polls, which I guess they've been doing, if I read correctly, for like 80 years. And that's because there might be internal data coming out that Trump's approval rating is currently 29%. Fucking cratered.
So they're not reporting that because they're afraid of backlash from Trump?
Yeah, I mean, he's sued over polls before. So I think, yeah, they're definitely afraid of backlash from him.
Boy, love that. Awesome. Great for us.
Oh, it gets better, friend. So again, trying to keep it to the news because nobody needs to hear another John rant. They don't do anything. They don't mean anything. So trying to bite my tongue here. CNN did polls recently, pretty much asking people, hey, you know, if you could do it over again, Harris versus Trump, how would you go? Harris would apparently beat Trump today +8. So I don't know. I really don't put a lot of stock in polls anymore.
Dude,
but it is just interesting data.
To me, in my opinion, and I know that there are going to be a lot of people who do agree with me on this, there should be some kind of like break glass in case of emergency. Like, what is it called in France when they do that? Like what they just did a couple years
referendum?
Ago? No, like what they just did a couple years ago, and I think 2024, where the prime minister called for a snap election.
That was going to be my second guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the bare minimum, Congress should be allowed to call for a snap election. I don't know if this Congress even fucking would, because it's Republican controlled anyway. But like, yeah, a snap, maybe even like if like certain conditions are met, a snap election should be allowed to be called. Maybe give them like a month or two to just try, and it should just be the same candidates as the previous election, I guess. I don't know how the mechanics of it should work, but I absolutely think there should be some kind of a snap election mechanic in the United States government to allow for situations like the one that we're in right fucking now to be more easily gotten the fuck out of.
I'm just going to say, to keep things moving, that I completely agree with you, and to be a tad hyperbolic and being aware of that, everything of how we operate elections here in America is just wrong to me. Like it's just so fucking backwards to me.
But that's on purpose, though. That's on purpose,
yes.
though, because all of the inefficiencies of the way that we run elections here in the U.S. are by design by the Conservative Party, because they don't want more people voting, because the more people who do vote, the less often the Conservative Party wins.
Which is why we need to enfranchise incarcerated peoples, and we need to make sure re-enfranchise, yes, incarcerated peoples, and we need to, even though I'm pretty sure the Senate won't pass it, we need to like even just threaten the idea that legislation like the SAVE Act even exists. Like, if you even breathe thinking about this, like, fuck you. Yeah. You know, I'm really, again, trying not to go on rants, because I'm really getting less political and more like, just fuck all this shit. I'm really just so sick of this shit. But it doesn't get any better, folks, at least not for a little bit, because I also want to talk about some state kind of news, because it could be a blueprint for where other colleges are going. So Florida colleges are now going to be in compliance with Florida statutes. I want to remind everybody.
To be clear, by the way, I just have to interject here, because you just said Florida colleges. Florida state colleges.
Yes.
These are specifically colleges in Florida that are funded by the state of Florida. This isn't private schools. This isn't, like state colleges in Florida. Let me see if I can even find a full list. Okay. That is a whole list of all colleges, not just state. State University System of Florida. Here we go. Okay, there's a dozen. There's exactly a dozen colleges. The actual University of Florida is on here. Okay, I need to zoom in here to be able to read this. My eyes are failing me. The Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, Florida Atlantic University, Florida Gulf Coast University, Florida International University, Florida Polytechnic University, FSU, which is Florida State, which is the most obvious one. The New College of Florida, aka the Honors College, UCF, University of Central Florida, University of Florida, I already mentioned, the University of North Florida, the University of South Florida, and the University of West Florida. Those are the dozen colleges that are a part of the state university system of Florida that will have to now be abiding by and adhering to what John is about to talk about here.
Okay, so there was a statute that I guess recently passed, and we have to remember that Florida is a heavily conservative state. I mean, Ron DeSantis is the fucking governor,
it's disgusting. And they elected Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, and Matt Gaetz is disgusting, and God, I don't want to waste time on this, but there was a guy, I think like former congressman in Florida, that he literally did Medicare fraud.
Rick, what's his name?
Yeah, Rick Scott.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Rick Scott. Yeah, he literally did Medicare fraud. I am so sorry.
And then they voted for him again, by the way.
Yeah, so I am so sorry for my loved ones in Florida. To say that you deserve better is a massive understatement.
Abel.
So, Abel, yes,
Kirby.
My boy Angel, yeah, Kirby, yes, like, love you guys. You deserve
Ella,
better than this.
You are.
Yeah, really, wherever you are, Ella, you deserve better than this. Everybody in Florida that we know and love deserve better than this. And really, just all the people of Florida, especially the grassroots movements on the left and everything. I feel sorry for grassroots movements in like deep red states because like they get no love because they often get homogenized with the rest of the population. Like, no, we fucking see you. We see the uphill battle you're fighting, and solidarity to you for it because this shit's insane. So there was a statute that passed, Statute 1007.25. That courses, quote, not distort significant historical events or include a curriculum that teaches identity politics, violate statute 1000.05, I do not know what that is for the record, or is based on theories that systemic racism, sexism, oppression, and privilege are inherent in the institutions of the United States and were created to maintain social, political, and economic inequalities. So pretty much people that work in gender studies or any kind of, genuine sociological studies or anything like that, they can't do their job now. Because I don't know how you fucking do that without talking about this shit, which is the fucking point. Just to give some examples, I'm not going to go through the whole list because I don't want to be too stuck on this story. But they said to ensure compliance with the Florida statute, the following should not be included in any course content. Discussions that suggest that unconscious or unintentional institutional discrimination, e.g., systemic racism, sexism, historical discrimination, is a singular cause for patterns of inequality observed today. Discussions that state an intent of institutions today is to oppress persons of color. Discussions that state that heteronormative behaviors are tied to implicit bias and harmful to children. Discussions that argue most variations between men and women are learned traits and behaviors. And I'm going to read just one more. Discussions that suggest that an entire racial or ethnic group is based against another racial or ethnic group. See, it's so fucking obvious, people.
Like the first one literally says you're not allowed to talk about systemic racism, institutional sexism, or historical discrimination. The second one is basically don't talk about internalized racism, sexism, etc. The third one is you're not allowed to talk about, it's basically just doubling down on you're not allowed to talk about systemic racism because it explicitly says you're not allowed to have discussions about institutions that oppress people of color. You're not allowed to talk about, heteronormativity, which causes, biases that can be harmful to children. You're not allowed to talk about genders basically at all because the idea that, or really specifically the idea that gender is a social construct is something that you're not allowed to talk about now. Like, yeah, they're basically saying anything that someone might accidentally mistake for woke, you're not allowed to talk about it anymore. Fuck you.
Yeah, and the reason I even belabor this point on this story is that if you don't think that Republicans especially and the MAGA wing don't see like this as a template for what they would want to do for higher ed across the country. Like there was already a story. I know I didn't make like a big stink about this like on the show. But you know me, like I'm a philosophy guy. Fucking obviously, you guys have heard me talk about it. Texas A&M suspended a professor. Now he got reinstated, but they gave him shit because he wanted to teach. Now this just was so mind-numbing. Plato's Symposium. Now Plato is usually a darling of the right because the right claims, oh, we love classics, we love Greek history because they're ahistorical and they think that it's such like a hyper masculine kind of time where men were, you know, thought leaders and everything else. Obviously, history is more nuanced. They don't give a shit about that. Fascism doesn't care about fucking nuance. But they gave the professor a hard time because Plato's Symposium has, because it's pretty much a dialogue on love, and there is a speech. I forget who gave the speech because I know it's not Aristophanes, who is the comedic playwright, but somebody gives a speech in the symposium pretty much talking about how, you know, human beings, like, you know, they could have, like, gender was kind of all mixed up. You know, you could have people with both breasts and a penis, or maybe both kind of organs, so like intersex in a way. And like, you know, it really had these surprising views on gender, at least by, I guess, our lights with how much we're regressing. And so because of the conversations of gender in that dialogue, just in this one fucking speech, it's like, oh, I don't know if you're able to teach that. So it was a case of academic censorship. And now we're seeing more of that here. The right wing hates higher education because it goes back to that meme. Oh, all statistics, you know, lean left or whatever. You know, they don't want people to critically think. I actually learned recently, a couple days ago, bro, that a Reagan advisor told Reagan, we should be careful about free college. We don't want to have an educated proletariat. I mean, come the fuck on. Like, it's just wearing a neon sign at this fucking point to me. So yeah, the far right has always hated higher ed because when you teach critical thinking, when you actually do history, and this and that, you're more than likely going to go to the fucking left because you see how depraved a lot of things are, you see how systems work, everything else, and you want to change it because you're, again, critically thinking. And I think critical thinking is also hand in hand with having a conscience and having empathy, which we know Elon Musk said is a weakness of Western civilization. Gee, I wonder why he would fucking say that. So yeah, this is definitely part and parcel, and it's already been happening. I mean, universities have been defunded. They have threatened, like, hey, we won't unfreeze your funds unless you do this with your curriculum or whatever. There has been an attack on higher ed going on since the beginning of Trump 2.0. And you're seeing like the effects here. And really, I gotta say this, any college or any university that bends the knee, fucking shame on you. Like, you stand up to the bully, you don't capitulate, because when you capitulate, they're still gonna fuck you over. I mean, you know, I know this is unrelated, but you look at all the people enthused about joining ICE, and then they're lamenting, oh, I haven't gotten paid yet, I haven't gotten my health care. We're all expendable to them. We are all fucking expendable to them. And if you don't stand up to them, you're fucking complicit. I'm sorry. You're fucking complicit. I don't know any other way to say it. So yeah, higher ed is going down the fucking toilet. So let me see here, because I know there's quite a bit of international stuff that I do want to talk about tying back to the US. Oh, yes. There is one big domestic story that we need to talk about. Supreme Court struck down Trump's tariffs. Now, this was huge. It was a 6-3 decision.
It'd be a hell of a lot more huge if someone would fucking enforce it.
I agree. You're not wrong. But it's amazing that only 3 conservatives, so Trump even lost some conservatives on this, but Alito, Thomas, and Kavanaugh dissented, so they were on Trump's side.
Of course you were. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
look,
and
Kavanaugh is never surprising. I'm sorry, not Kavanaugh. Clarence Thomas is never surprising. That dude has it out for the American people. He is actively doing everything in his substantial power to make the American people as miserable as he can humanly possibly make them.
yes, absolutely. It's funny because Kavanaugh has had some decisions where he sides with the liberal justices.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of surprised this wasn't one of them, but fuck Kavanaugh. He's a rapist and he should never have been on the fucking Supreme Court.
The head guy, the top guy, who's the top guy on the court again?
John Roberts.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he was on the liberal side of this.
Bro, I know you and I have never watched the show Community, even though it is a show I would like to watch.
Chief Justice is the phrase that I was looking for there, by the way. Yeah.
Yes.
I would love to watch Community with you. Yes.
Yeah, I would love to watch Community with you, but I don't know if you've ever seen the meme where like the blonde lady is like, "Oh," because I think in the actual show it's I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at whatever. And then Yvette Nicole Brown's character, who's just a great actress, she pops me. She's like, "You could excuse racism, but like here they did like a meme of the court saying, I can forgive fascism, but I draw the line at mercantilism, which is like an economic policy that Trump has been known for, where it's like, how does mercantilism go again? Well, I think it's like you really emphasize imports and you're like, fuck exporting anything, like everything is just going to be internal. It kind of goes hand in hand with an isolationist policy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Trump has been a mercantilist for like a long time, lining the pockets of his rich fucking friends. And the Supreme Court apparently isn't down with that. Kavanaugh, interestingly, said refunding all the money would probably be a mess because you're talking in the billions, right, from these fucking tariffs. Costco.
You know what though?
Yeah.
Listen, if Donald Trump wasn't prepared to make amends on a mess, he shouldn't have made the fucking mess.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I heard Costco's already, I don't know if they've already filed a
They've
lawsuit.
already
But they're
filed a
planning
lawsuit
to.
for, I think it was like $8.6 billion or some shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah. JB Pritzker sent
Gavin
out a letter
Newsom.
saying, oh, yeah, Gavin Newsom, that they're saying like, hey, we want our money back.
Yep.
Now here's the thing.
Still
This
waiting to hear
isn't
something about
like,
Josh Shapiro sending something.
yeah, okay, so how can I put this where I'm not my usual cynical self? I am skeptical.
By the way, I don't know if it's just because you're really engaged, but you've started peaking again if you're really close to the mic.
Back up again. I am skeptical that this could have any benefit for the American people. Like, I feel like corporations would get restitution and American people would just get fucking nothing.
I mean, it's not like they're going to write us a check.
Exactly, right?
Like, it's not like they're going to be like, oh, well, you know, the average American is paid an extra $350 a month over the course of the 13 months that Trump has been trying to enact these tariffs. So we're going to write you a check for 13 times $350 and that'll just be it. That's not going to fucking happen. There's a 0.000000000000000% chance that anyone's getting an actual, like any individual person is going to be getting a check because of the tariffs being deemed illegal and unconstitutional. And I find it even very unlikely that anyone at all, corporations or states or anyone, is actually going to get a jack shit at all, anything about it.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
Trump is trying to fucking do more tariffs anyway. He started at a 10% sweeping tariff and now he's raised it to 15. This motherfucker will never fucking learn until someone makes him.
Which that isn't coming, I guess. I don't know. I really, it's hard to say. Doesn't seem like it's coming,
You know,
but
it's kind of funny
future's
because
always
my
uncertain.
mom has said that like she wants to celebrate Trump's death when it happens. For me, there is nothing better that could happen to that motherfucker than getting impeached and removed from office. Because if that shit happens, not only will it have required for his own party to have turned on him, but it will also mean that he loses his Social Security detail and medical care for life that you get when you're a former president of the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He should be under the fucking prison. He should just lose everything. Again, I'm not gonna try and rant. I'm gonna try and keep it news focused. So
I really hope that he gets found guilty of treason, because if that happens, it's not just him getting removed from office; it's him and Vance and his entire cabinet that get removed from office. Then,
yeah, no, I mean, none of these people should be able to fucking stay. So also, I just want to say very quickly, ICE is still in Minnesota. Do not believe the reports that they fucking left. People on the ground are saying that they are using stealthier tactics. They're no longer wearing like the camo gear or the vest. Some of them are in jeans and fucking ball caps.
so
They're
you mean to
staked
tell
out
me
as
that
their
they've
location.
actually learned how to camouflage in an urban or suburban setting?
Yeah. They
learned
finally leveled the fuck up.
camo is designed for when you're in the woods and you want to hide from animals, and the actual camouflage to wear when you're around people is fucking clothing.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking! It only took him what, 7 months? No, it's more like a year. It's like, because the fucking BBB got passed what, June?
I believe so, yes.
So yeah, like 7 fucking months, 9, 8, somewhere around there. Like Jesus Christ, I'm really glad that they're as inefficient as they are, because they would be a lot scarier if they were anywhere close to actually being the Gestapo.
Which, my God, what does that say about the IDF? Because apparently the IDF has been training ICE. Like, but see, that goes to show
See, but
everybody's
the
always
thing
said that.
is, the
Yeah,
IDF. The thing is though, like, okay, when I hear that the IDF is training ICE, I don't hear, oh man, they're going to be really like efficient. I hear that I just hear that they're going to be fucking merciless and have zero compassion. It's like that's what I hear when I think about the IDF. I think about they just have no feelings. They have no compassion. They have no emotions. They are just cold killers that don't give a single fuck. Like I literally that like in my mind the IDF is just a bunch of literal fucking child murderers. And that's like when I hear that they're training someone, it's like, oh, so they're going to teach them how not to feel bad when they murder someone, which is pretty much exactly what we're seeing.
yeah, and I should note too. First of all, free fucking Palestine always and forever over here.
Yes.
But second of all, IDF are a bunch of fucking cowards too. Because if they didn't get the fucking weaponry subsidized by the fucking U.S., I mean, I've seen when people fight back against the IDF, they crumple so fucking quick. It's easy to be courageous, quote unquote, really believing in your mission when you have fucking military grade weaponry backed by the biggest exporter of terrorism on the fucking earth in the US. Sorry, I just hate this fucking empire so much. Anyway, continuing, because boy, when we talk about empire, the international side of this that I haven't even gotten to yet because I'm keeping it domestic first. Jesus, tap dancing Christ, do we have a show for you when it comes to the international side of things today? But just to finish the domestic side, it's being projected. More Perfect Union posted that Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Meta are expected to spend more than $700 billion on data centers and AI infrastructure in 2026. Um, yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what else to say to that. When we think about healthcare, when we think about housing, 700 billion for fucking data centers that are going to pollute environments where they're built, consume energy like nobody's business. I hate it here. I just continue to hate it here. And then Oh yes. There was an Ohio mayor that got. I think it was a mayor that got. Mayor arrested on voyeurism charges. He was spying on a teenage girl. Conservative. Ohio's a very like red state. So once again, pedocon theory. The Guardian reported on that. But then the only other big thing that should concern all of us, and I'm usually not this type of guy. But again, when you talk about 29% approval rating, I had mentioned that earlier. Trump is losing everybody that got him to the White House, and now the latest people he's lost are the Make America Healthy Again, and like what is it, the Moms for American Health or whatever kind of thing, because they were with RFK. Then RFK dropped out and he joined Trump, so he was able to take that contingent with him to support Trump. Well, now Trump, and let me quote it exactly. This is from CNBC. Trump did an executive order, or actually, he invoked the Defense Production Act to promote the production of phosphorus and glyphosate, a commonly used herbicide. And this is a Roundup chemical hated by MAHA. Now, here's where I'm concerned, because I actually looked up the science on this. When we actually had an EPA and we had regulations, the science really seemed like there's not really much to worry about with glyphosate. Like, yes, it's not zero, but the risk is very low, given that we've determined the levels where, any kind of cancers or infertility or whatever would be reported. Well, the thing about that is we're in an age of mass deregulation, right? FDA has been fucking slashed. We have a head in the EPA that called climate change a religion. They just took away the bedrock ruling about greenhouse, or they tried to repeal it. Greenhouse gas emissions, cause human harm and stuff like that, which is the driving force of fucking climate change. Now that's being challenged heavily in courts, I think. But and you really can't stop the renewable energy revolution that's happening across the globe. The U.S. once again is a laughingstock because we're hanging on desperately to oil because of oil executives. But now glyphosate does concern me because we don't have those regulations. We are in an age of mass deregulation. And the thing is, glyphosate is apparently used to dry out crops faster to make wheat ready for, I guess, just production for, and consumption, right? Whereas in the old days, you would just use, I don't know, the fucking sun. And now you're using this pesticide to accelerate the process. So that is concerning. And the MAHA contingent is like, we didn't vote for this. So now we got to figure out what we're going to do the next election. They'll either sit out or they may even go Democrat. I mean, this regime is so bad that I hear the Senate is actually in play for the midterms. Like, it seemed like the House was already a given that the Dems would take back.
Yeah.
But now when you're actually talking about they might even take the Senate, that is pretty insane to me, honestly. In a country that I feel like by and large is pretty centrist or likes balanced chambers between one party and the other. Nah, I mean, this regime fucking sucks.
Yeah, I'm seeing based on like the sort of wisdom of the crowds type betting sites that the Democrats have around a 40% chance to take the Senate back.
That was the number I heard too. Actually, that was the number I think even CNN said. So it just shows you, the wisdom of the crowds, the betting markets, and stuff like that. We already know how embedded betting markets are with news networks and everything now. Yet another problem in this fucking country. And so I think that is everything on the domestic side. So I need to open with God. Because the international side, we need to talk about this shit, okay? So I don't know where to start. I'm torn between two stories, but I think I want to open with this one because this is fucking insane. Mike Huckabee, who is the ambassador to Israel, he does a sit-down interview with Tucker Carlson. And Tucker Carlson, one of his things, and he's been this way since Fox News. So, like, to his quote-unquote credit, even though I think Tucker Carlson is utterly loathsome, and he's definitely like a white supremacist type, racist, he's always, like, postured as anti-war. And he kind of brings that here in this interview with Huckabee. And he says, do you know how favorable war with Iran is? So they begin with Iran because there is a lot of like airspace activity in Iran right now from U.S. aircraft carriers. And we've already talked about on the show. I've talked about the past like 2 weeks, maybe 3, about the Iranian protests against the Islamic regime. These are Iranian democratic protests from people on the ground from all over Iran. I haven't posted about it recently because it's hard to know what information is current because they've been in the midst of an internet blackout, which I've also talked about. And Trump did say, like, if you hurt protesters, I'll come in, which Trump obviously doesn't give a shit about protesters. They will use any pretext to meddle in the Middle East. So I say all of that to say in this interview with Huckabee, Tucker says, do you know the favorability of war with Iran? He said only 21% of Americans from whatever poll he consulted. Unfortunately, I did not verify this before the show, so I want to say this was a poll that Tucker alleges to have read. TWitWoW has not verified this. But only 21% of Americans favor war with Iran. And then Huckabee's like, obviously the American opinion is important, this and that, but then he kind of backwalks it because, they're going to do this anyway. But then the most twisted part of the exchange to me is that Tucker, so they're talking about the Bible now because we know that Huckabee is deeply like fundamentalist and Israel's whole thing is like, this land was promised to the Jewish people and stuff like that. Now, Ashton and I are secularist, and this is one reason why we always think that like systemic religion, institutional religion is fucking poison and should have no business in politics, but I'll shelve that for now. They're talking about the Bible, and, Tucker says to him, well, God promised the land to the Israelites, from the Nile to the Euphrates. And Tucker kind of says, well, that's pretty much all the Middle East, so would you let them take it? And Huckabee said, yeah, let them have it. I just really need us to grasp what Huckabee is just like kind of embracing there, because I've said before, I haven't said it in a minute, but I've said before that Netanyahu wants to redraw the map of the Middle East. It used to be this conspiracy that they called Greater Israel, where they would take like all this territory. Not so much of a conspiracy now. We already know that they stole the Golan Heights from Syria. We already see what they're doing with Gaza, which I also do want to say, because I saw a great post that reminded me of this. It was like an imaginary conversation between a capitalist and a communist. And the capitalist was like, oh, you communists blame everything on capitalism. What does Gaza have to do with capitalism? Gaza has very large natural gas reserves, which U.S. and like financial interests would seize on when the whole project's completed. And they're already talking about development projects over the fucking mass graves caused by, the Zionist IDF and everything else. And now, so they've done Syria. They're still doing Gaza. The genocide has not stopped, and it's fucking sickening. Apparently, and this came from I Am Blake Lee, who I've been watching lately. I couldn't verify this myself. she alleges that Netanyahu has started taking shots at Turkey. Now, that's interesting for me because you know that I'm an international guy. I read a lot of international news. I don't like Erdogan, who was the president of Turkey. He is also an autocrat. He actually jailed his opponent in the most recent Turkish election. I've talked to a few Turkish people. They hate Erdogan. That said, Turkish people are not their government. Erdogan does not represent all of fucking Turkey. And I am horrified with the Turkish people if Netanyahu starts making moves on them too. This is fucking insane. Okay, like Israel needs to be fucking stopped, and more broadly, the U.S. empire needs to be stopped. But the idea that Huckabee could be so brazen as to be like, let them have all of it. And by the way, Huckabee, just to show you how committed he is to the Zionist project, he was on a Fox News show. I don't know which one because I try and avoid brain rot whenever possible. And you know, the host asked, like, "Oh, do you think Israel should pay to rebuild Gaza? You know, when this is all over?" And Huckabee said, no, and actually, if anything, Israel should get reparations. Hate it here so much.
AIPAC is one hell of a drug, buddy.
Abso-fucking-lutely, my man. Abso-fucking-lutely. So that's Gaza. Now you might be thinking, well, John, how's the rest of the world doing? Glad you didn't ask. Because let's talk about that, shall we? So I said last week that Cuba is in the midst of a fuel blockade caused by the U.S. The U.S. has hated Cuba for decades. They hated that a communist revolution actually succeeded because they're always going to pander to financial interests, and they've just tried to cripple them any way they can. Marco Rubio is running point on this because he loves Cuban conservatives. He's obviously very conservative himself in the Trump regime, and he's wanted to topple Cuba forever. So now the latest update on the blockade is, first of all, Reuters reported that a lot of waste is building up because there is no sanitation service because there is no fucking fuel. So garbage is piling up in Cuba. Now I'm reading somebody posted, so we're blockading all oil from getting to Cuba such that their power plants have shut down and 11 million people on the island will no longer have power. This means they'll start losing clean water, all public services, and food. And the media is just not talking about this. Like, Gaza is already horrific enough because the U.S. with collective fucking tax dollars and financial interests funded that fucking genocide. And now we're practically trying to commit another one in Cuba. We are trying to cripple this fucking nation into submission to our broader capitalist interest, or I should say the ruling class's broader capitalist interest. I ain't going to implicate regular people like us in that fucking shit. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I don't see an end to any of this. And I even said recently, like, the geopolitical landscape, like nations that have power versus nations that don't, how that shit is going to shift in 5 years is going to be fucking insane. And I can only hope that the U.S. empire will die by then. But given how much we put into military and everything else, I have my fucking doubts. But I mean, you're really seeing, like, this is full mask off, depraved behavior. This is an empire that knows it's in decay and is just thrashing out at everyone and everything. And it just breaks my fucking heart, really. It just breaks my fucking heart. So that's what's happening in Cuba. And then the two other things that I wanted to mention. So it's being heavily alleged. It may even happen. Maybe it already happened. I don't know. By the time you and I break off tonight, brother, I might read breaking news like that one night that I did, that Maduro got abducted after we were done whatever show we were fucking watching. You know, it's been alleged that the U.S. is going to do strikes on Iran. I already talked about a lot of airspace activity and stuff like that. Well, apparently the UK has not given the US permission to use their bases for Iran strikes. I find that interesting because I think it's further indicative of waning U.S. international relations with longstanding allies. We know what Trump and Hegseth and I think Rubio in part have said about Europe and have said about, you know, European territories. And I think they're reacting accordingly. Look, I don't care for Keir Starmer, who I think is the prime minister of the UK. I don't really care for him much at all, but I actually do applaud this. Like, no, if you're going to say, because Hegseth said way back in the beginning, the U.S. can no longer be the guarantor of safety of Europe.
Oh, yeah, pretty much that private signal chat that got leaked.
Well, I actually think that was at a public meeting. The private signal chat, I think, was like about war plans or something, but I think they also trashed Europe there too, to be fair. Wow. You're not wrong. But yeah, like pretty much telling Europe, hey, get fucked and, you know, good luck. And Europe is responding accordingly. So that's interesting, and I do have to wonder how that's going to inflame tensions. But then the final thing, and I only mention this because, okay, so to set context, I'm going to talk about Argentina last. Why I'm talking about Argentina is because the Milei government, that being Javier Milei, who was the laissez-faire capitalist president of Argentina, that government,
by the way, a U.S. puppet.
U.S. puppet, and yes, U.S. puppet being subsidized by the U.S. because Trump and Wall Street has given Milei, I think, definitely billions, if not close to $1 trillion or so, dollars to keep that government afloat. And Musk and Trump have both come out and been like, "Oh yeah, we love Milei." You know, I think Trump even called him like his favorite president or whatever, which is wild. So I say all of this to say that whatever Milei is doing in Argentina, look closely and internalize it, because you know the US and its corporate structure wants to do the same shit here. Recently, Milei passed the most anti-worker legislation I've heard in some time. So, first of all, Argentinians no longer have 8-hour workdays. It is now 12-hour workdays. And secondly, it allows companies to pay workers with food and lodging instead of money. Kyle Kalinske of Secular Talk said it best. How is this not fucking slavery at that point?
Oh, it is.
Because
it is slavery.
Yeah. Slaves got the exact same deal, right? 3 squares and some lodgings, you just got to do as you're fucking told and lose all autonomy to fucking me. Yeah, great fucking trade. And yeah, as this post says, this was from Ben Norton. I'm guessing this was a Twitter post. Argentina is a laboratory for the far-right anti-labor policies that capitalist oligarchs hope to impose everywhere. This is why Wall Street, Trump, and many U.S. billionaire oligarchs support Milei so strongly, and it's why the U.S. government has given Argentina tens of billions of dollars to prop up his failing, self-described anarcho-capitalist regime, which, by the way, a laissez-faire capitalist. Okay, you don't get to use the fucking term anarchism. That's just a pet peeve of mine. It pisses me the fuck off.
The idea that the idea of quote unquote anarcho-capitalism is inherently self-contradictory, because anarcho means without hierarchy. Like, that's anarchism. Anarcho, you're taking that from anarchism. So anarchy means without hierarchy. It means there's no hierarchy. Capitalism explicitly means there's hierarchy and the capitalists run things. That is literally what capitalist means. Capitalism is a system where things are run by capitalists. That is what capitalism is and what it means. It means that it's an economic system where the economy is ruled and run by the capitalist class, which is the ruling class, which is, in our specific case, the billionaire class. That's what capitalism literally means. So anarcho, taken from anarchy, taken from anarchism, means no hierarchy, and then capitalism means hierarchy where the capitalists rule. Those things don't go together.
No, they don't. And
that's why anarcho-communism does work, because communism means rule by the commune, the community. It means that there is no specific hierarchy because the community is who is running things. And the idea of saying anarcho-communism just makes it very clear that we don't want any fucking rulers in this specific type of communism.
Exactly. So fuck Javier Milei. To every Argentinian that protests him and sometimes even protests him and the government violently, I salute you genuinely, because God knows we need to start doing that fucking shit here. Although I will say the coordinated mass nonviolent resistance, I think, does do damage in parts. But I'm sorry. I have always been on the question of revolutionary violence specifically in the affirmative. I feel like it's inevitable. When you have got this kind of power creep from oligarchs wanting to take everything, mass deregulate and mass privatize and leave us with fucking nothing, and assuming all of the risk of deregulation, from our food down to the air we breathe, down to the places that people work, something's got to give. I'm telling, this shit isn't sustainable. And that isn't even a communist point. It's just common fucking sense. This shit is not sustainable. There is going to be a reckoning for all of this. And I'm not even saying revolution. I don't mean that. I am just saying house of cards is gonna fucking collapse on this. And yeah, so that's all the international news that I could think to report. Keep your thoughts with Cuba, with Gaza, with fucking everybody. I mean, who is it? Really, it gets to a point where, and again, this is a point that Kyle Kowinski made that I just happen to agree with. Like, who isn't the U.S. fucking beefing with right now? Right. And that's kind of made it hard for me because, I mean, Ashton can vouch for me here on this. I've always been a guy that's been more interested in international affairs than domestic affairs because we are a global order. You know, we are a global economy and everything else.
Yeah.
But now it's like gotten difficult for me because the U.S. was always the imperial core, right? Always like the main driver of imperialism, either financing it or directly participating in it and whatever. And now it's just like we're fucking doing everything. Like, I don't doubt for a second that if Kamala would have won, we'd still be doing imperialism. I think it would have been more covert. I definitely think she'd be fucking with Iran in her own way, given that she openly named Iran as the number one enemy of the US. But Trump is just so oafish. I mean, his brain is fucking soup. And everybody around him, they have no actual political acumen. They only have power fantasies
Yeah.
with politics as a vehicle to try and realize them, which is fucking dangerous as hell, obviously. And you see just how like blatant and just destructive it all is. And it's like, my God, it's just hard to keep up with. Like, even me, and you know how engaged I am in the politics channel on Discord or whatever, I can feel like I'm getting close to burnout. Because it's just some like Cuba, I think, kind of broke me in a way because you're talking about a land in Cuba. You know what they export? Fucking doctors. That's what Cuba fucking exports. And in spite of all the sanctions up until this point, Cuba was able to make amazing medical advancements like a lung cancer vaccine and so like that. And they had universal health care and everything else. Like, leave them the fuck alone. Like, I'm again, just really, really fucking tired. To give a little bit of a hope cookie here, completely unrelated to anything political, but still like part of the political because we know that the Trump regime has done a huge fucking war on science. In spite of all of that, we could potentially soon, now it's going to take, I think, about 5 years for human trials, as these things do if you want them done right. But a universal vaccine is in development. It would be a nasal spray that would protect against flu, SARS, COVID type viruses, and allergens. So that's really fucking cool because I think it would be like less regular than shots, and you know it'd be very easy to update if it's like this all-encompassing thing. So again, just remember, even in spite of the odds, science can do incredible things. Now imagine if it didn't have those odds to overcome, right? Imagine if we're actually a society that invested in civic goods like parks, libraries, schools, and stuff like that, and we're actually a really pro-science and very progressive country. I cry if I think about it for too long, to be quite honest with you. But that's the society we should have had. And unfortunately, we have what, like 12 or however many fucking billionaire psychopaths that are like, no, I think I want dead babies and to own everything. And there you go. And none of this was to even touch on any new Epstein stuff. That is the other thing. Prince Andrew did get arrested, but it's important to note he didn't even get arrested on things related to Epstein. Well, not like that, like what you would consider. He got arrested on suspicion of insider trading, or I guess like, no, not insider trading. I misspoke. Giving away state secrets. So like doing a kind of trading, but not like financial. It was more political. I think he was released, but he's still being monitored. So I don't know what's going to happen with all that. But yeah, people are desperately hoping for accountability with the Epstein files. I'm just going to be real with you all. I don't see it. I don't see it coming. I'd love to be proven wrong, though. I mean, God knows I'm always open to be proven wrong. But I mean, this class is just so insulated from anything even approaching consequences. And that's why I'm just angry all the time now. It's not even like coherent theory or coherent thoughts. It's just, hey, can we maybe, sort of kind of start a fire? Because I'm just spent. I'm just really fucking spent on these fucking people. So I think that's it. If you heard any news by any chance that you would want to share with the group, please feel free. But I know you usually give me the reins on this.
On, please. We're over 2 hours.
There you go. Oh my God, you're right. Jesus. All right. Well, now it's just extracurricular. It's pop culture. Please go first on this. What have you been doing? And of course, obviously,
dude, literally, you got to realize. I have watched some stuff with my mom this week. Like we watched Hamilton, like the actual like filming, like they filmed the actual Broadway musical, and it was beautiful and wonderful. We've watched, I think, a couple movies. I can't remember off the top of my head. But as
Yeah.
far as the three of us together, it's pretty much just been Central Park all week, I think.
Oh, cool. Central
Oh, we
Park is
did.
a
You know
great
what? We
show.
did do Zootopia 1 and 2 earlier this week. That is one.
Yes, yeah. Also fun movies. Fun movies. But yeah, Central Park is great. I highly recommend people watch that. Um as far as music, anything new?
No, I don't think so.
I don't really think I have much new to report either. I think Mosaic is coming out with something next month, and I can't wait. But I've still listened to Ambrosia a few times. I actually got on a bit of a Sleep Token kick again this week. I missed those guys. Can't wait for that next album. But yeah, nothing really new there either. Yeah, I guess pop culture might just be done. So I guess let's just because it's already over two
Yeah,
hours,
because
like
I
you
haven't
said.
even really played any video games this week either. My Golden Sun hyperfixation has cooled off big time. I haven't really whipped out any of my game systems at all. Mostly like just been playing like idle clicker games like Adventure Capitalist and Cell to Singularity, stuff like that. That's about it.
Yeah, and I actually did get back into playing the handheld you got me recently. I'm doing Smash vs. War 2006 again. I'm doing
Nice.
a storyline or season mode rather
Did you ever end
as
up beating
Shelton.
Triple H?
I did. We talked about that like several weeks ago. I
Nice.
did beat Triple H's Randy Orton in a steel cage. It
Yeah.
was close though. Even that was close, but
Yeah.
I got it done courtesy of the RKO.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I'm doing a season mode of Shelton Benjamin just because rewatching that match with Triple H, like Shelton's so fucking good. He's amazing just as an athlete. And yeah, just got put me in the mood. So yeah, I guess with that we can do Q&A, but here's the great fucking news, bud. Oh, Super Blue is actually typing. I think he knew that I was going to say he only asked 2 questions, but I think Super Blue right now in real time is generating new questions. Hooray.
Wow.
So we've got questions.
Wow.
We've got questions from Super Blue.
We have two.
Question
We
1.
have two questions from Super Blue.
Well, he's typing more, I think, is what's
Well,
happening.
we have two. Thus far, we have two questions from Super Blue.
There you go. So, question 1 for both. How do you feel about the life and career of Jesse Jackson? I'm going to be truthful. I don't have an opinion. I just know
Same.
that he was yeah.
Moving
So,
on.
yeah, there you go. What's your preview prediction for Elimination Chamber and the Mystery Crate? We already talked about the Mystery Crate being Jericho, and we've predicted most of the matches. So, just real quick, I think Punk retains against Balor. I'm picking Orton to win the Men's Chamber. I'm picking Tiffany to win the Women's Chamber. And I'm picking Becky Lynch to retain against AJ via disqualification. So, AJ wins. She just doesn't win the title.
Sure, I'll go with that. I'll go with Punk retaining as well. Tiffany as well, but I'm going to pick Cody to win the chamber.
There you go. And then as far as the qualifiers, he said pick a winner between Raquel versus Io versus Kyrie to fill out
Io.
women's, and then of course Bronson Jay and original El Grande
Jay.
Americano. I'm gonna go with Raquel actually. I don't think Io's gonna qualify. I'm gonna go with Raquel, and then with men's, I'll just go Jey Uso. Fuck it. So there we go.
Yeah, you know
Now
what? I'm
whatever.
going to switch my pick. I also am going to say Raquel because then we don't have to even attempt to address any tension between Io and Rhea yet, and that's easier.
There you go. And now question 3, which he's done typing, so I'm going to assume this is going to be the final. No, he's still typing. There you go. Question 3 for both.
Do you think AJ Styles will get announced for the Hall of Fame this Monday, or will Gunther ruin it because of Dragon Lee?
I don't think he's going to get announced for the Hall of Fame. I do think Gunther's going to interrupt because he's a shit heel, but yeah, I don't think any Hall of Fame
Is
thing's
this
going to
a
happen or whatever.
weirdly specific question, or am I just reading too far into it?
Well, no, I think he only mentions Dragon Lee because Dragon Lee was tag team champions with AJ. So, like on screen, you would think that they were
Yeah,
kind
and
of chummy
Dragon
with
Lee
each other.
has been attacking Gunther, but like, I don't think that Gunther ruining the AJ Styles Hall of Fame announcement will be because of Dragon Lee. Gunther retired
Right.
AJ Styles. We know he doesn't like him. I don't know why it has to be because of Dragon. Like, why couldn't you just stop it at will Gunther ruin it? You didn't. It doesn't have to be because of Dragon Lee. It's
Well,
because
then
of AJ Styles. Like, that's what it is.
yeah. Question 4. Do you think Tony D will cost Dark State the tag titles on Wednesday? Probably. I mean, he said he's going to ruin Dark State and destroy them. Makes sense to me. But I don't really have too much context to make a more educated opinion beyond that.
Fuck NXT's writing team. I don't give a shit.
Well, there you go. So with that, let's close the gate here, and let's just get on to high spots, low shots. I'm gonna say low shot is Randy Orton. Lost a match to
Reasonable.
Aleister Black. Because Drew just clocked him in the skull with the fucking WWE title. So yeah, Randy's my low shot. Who's your
Good
low
job,
shot?
Drusif.
Yeah.
Who is my low shot? Oh Lord. Mustafa Ali for losing that guitar case casket match to Elijah in the main event of Impact this week.
Oh, that hurts so good. All right,
Disgusting.
high spot. I deserve it probably.
You
High
don't though. You
spot.
really don't. You're wonderful. You're beautiful.
You're beautiful.
Your face is
High spot.
beautiful.
You know what? I'm gonna concede because we're almost done. So high spot because politics beat the fuck out of me. I can't even do a high spot for politics this week, in my opinion, anyway. So I'm gonna keep it to wrestling. Kiana James. Kiana James. I mean, she's in the chamber match. She beat Charlotte and Nia Jax. I think that's a pretty huge fucking week. So Kiana James.
And you know what? You left it wide open. I'll take Javon Evans.
Hot.
Yeah,
Hot.
He won a match that Gunther was in to qualify for chamber. That's pretty huge too.
Yeah. How's that for being a ring general? All right.
Ring your bell, General.
Oh, God. All right. So, with that said, guys, this has been the weekly recap. This has been TWitWoW, the best podcast on the internet today. Be sure to like the video, subscribe with the bell notifications so you miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the search box. Follow us on Blue Sky and Twitch because we are the best podcast on the internet today. And we'll see you for Marty Gold, maybe possibly Wednesday.
Oh.
I know I'm going to be spending time with my family on Tuesday. I even specifically asked them for that, bro, because apparently my brother-in-law might have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday off. And I said, well, it can't be Thursday because I know I'm very much anticipating we're doing Stardom Thursday, and it's going to be a lot.
Yes.
So, yeah, Stardom definitely Thursday because I can't imagine that the 7th show won't get up. In fact, I'm even kind of curious to see if it's up now. But yeah, we already have cards for Stardom picked out. We have one match currently we'd like to do, I think, for Marty Gold. We're just waiting for other shows to come up with stuff that's good. And so we'll see what happens there. The 7th show still isn't up, but I expect it to be for Stardom by Thursday. So you can expect that. That would be at 7 p.m. For Marty Gold, it would probably be Wednesday at 6. And if you don't care about any of our Joshi coverage, and this is the series that you primarily keep up with us with, then just know that that's every Saturday at 10:30. So you can join us again for that. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Be good to yourselves and each other. Tune in and peace out.